Let's make some lasagna. I encourage you to take your favorite vegetables and just start chopping. For me, I always start with a big old onion. These are just yellow onions or maybe large sweet onions. One big one should do the trick. I try to dice them up around the same size so that it cooks evenly. Sometimes when I make lasagna, I will make big chunks of onion because when it's in the sauce, when all the vegetables are in the sauce, they will cook down. So you're going to see that these are not really small chunks, rather big chunks of one large onion. Just be careful. I have a new knife coming in, so I'm practicing. Once you're done with that onion, you're going to do the same with each of the vegetables. Again, you're going to see that I'm making big chunks. I have one greenish, reddish pepper, but I usually will put a lot of colors in here. More colors mean more nutrients. So I have a big red onion. Sometimes if I had it, I would have put a big yellow onion, or big red pepper. I'd have put a big yellow pepper. But just chop down what you have. I'm also going to put in some zucchini. I like to dice these in big chunks again because they are going to cook down in the sauce, but I do like to have a little bit of a chunky sauce, okay? You're going to see that I start with a sauce, a regular one, but I add so much flavor, so many different vegetables to my sauce that it might as well just be homemade. If you have homemade sauce, you can always add that to this as well. So that was one green zucchini, and then we're going to also put it in a yellow squash. Your yellow squash is going to be a little different because, at least cutting it, because it has those, bulbous type sides. So just cut them down so it's flat. That way you can chop on an easier surface, with them all being kind of the same size, or at least being flat. Just want to be safe when you're cutting. Once you get all your vegetables, you're going to see that your sauce is going to be delicious. Look at all those colors. Look at all those big, huge chunks. And we're going to put them right in the pan and just start cooking them down. I put a little bit of oil there, but if you don't use oil, you can always water saute these. Just add a little bit of water, or even better yet, add a little bit of vegetable broth to the bottom of the pan. And just put your pan on medium-high heat and begin to cook it down. You're just sweating your vegetables out so that they all begin to soften. I also like to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of garlic. There is never too much garlic in anything, so put in as much garlic as you'd like. But just stir it down, let that heat start, getting everything caramelized. I am trying to mix up the garlic so that it's all over the vegetables, so it's not all in one spot. Once you let that cook for a few minutes, you see the color kind of changed. And this is when we can begin seasoning this layer. I'm putting in some pink Himalayan salt. I'm putting in garlic powder. I put in onion powder. Anything that you need to put in here to season your food is up to you. These are the things that I put in all of my savory foods: garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and some pepper. And then we're just going to make sure that everything is quite coated. Once you've seasoned it and you've mixed it well, now let's add some herbs. We're going to put that trinity of Italian herbs in here, starting with about 2 to 3 teaspoons of dried parsley. Then we're going to get about 1 or 2 teaspoons of oregano, and the same amount in basil. Okay, the oregano, basil, and parsley are your 3 Italian seasonings. If you have something marked Italian seasoning, then you can put it all in, because that's really what's in there. It's those three herbs. It looks like not a lot, but it's really flavor. I only put in about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of salt. For the rest of that is all flavor. It's all seasoning. Now, don't you worry at all about what you see on the bottom of that pan, because when you add liquid, it's all going to come off. So just consider the bottom of the pan goodies, okay? They're all goodies. And your vegetables have water in them. So as water begins to cook out of your vegetables, it's going to go right to the bottom of the pan and start to bring those goodies off of the pan, okay? So now that you've got your herbs and everything in there, we can add our sauce. Yes, I do start with my favorite, very bland sauce, but that's because I put so many seasonings in my vegetables, and a little bit sometimes I will put also on the sauce. I just try to rinse the container out, add a little bit of water, also because I'm trying to thin this out. I'm making a lasagna. My mother taught me to put a little bit of sugar on my sauce, but if you're doing Daniel's fast or you're not eating sugar, just do not do that. Okay? Then you're just going to mix to coat everything. You can see the herbs in the sauce. You can see, the herbs and everything that's in there. Everything is well coated. You see that there's nothing on the bottom. All the goodies have come up because you have the liquid from the vegetables. You have the liquid from the sauce. And we're going to put a lid on that and just walk away. Do something else. I like to cook this down sometimes for 30 minutes or so. And when you lift that pan back up, it will get thicker and thicker and thicker. I would say this is a good time to taste this just to make sure you have all your seasonings right. You might need to add a little bit of salt or pepper. If you don't taste enough garlic, put some more garlic powder on there or granulated garlic. It is really up to you what all you do in your sauce. Now, let's make the ricotta. We're going to make a tofu ricotta, okay? Tofu ricotta is so delicious. Remember, if you've ever, well, maybe you don't know, but if you cook with tofu before, you know it has absolutely no flavor. So what I did was, I think I pressed this for a little bit, although it's okay to not press too much when you're doing a ricotta because it's going to be inside of the lasagna. I'm going to squeeze 1 lemon in here, just to give that lemon flavor turns into like a cheesy flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of salt in here, and that's a pink Himalayan sea salt. I'm going to put some black pepper in here. And then I'm also going to add some parsley. You know, ricotta always has that parsley in there when you are, working on a lasagna. So I have a good amount of parsley. I think I put about 3 teaspoons. And then again, my garlic powder and my onion powder because I like to season up each layer. And I like those flavors when they cook into food. And then I added a whole lot of nutritional yeast. I think it was probably about a good 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. I'll put the description and the recipe down in the description box. But once you have all those things on there, pop the lid on your food processor and just begin to process it. Okay, you're not completely obliterating this. You're just processing it so that all those flavors, all those things mix really, really well. You only need to do this probably for about not even a minute, and there's your ricotta. That looks exactly like ricotta cheese, and it tastes better because I don't think ricotta cheese has any flavor in it at all. But we're going to use this in between all of our layers of our lasagna. Very, very easy, quick and easy. Okay, tofu ricotta. You can also do this with almonds or cashews, whatever. But I like the creaminess of the tofu ricotta. For me, it mimics more of a regular ricotta. So I have my glass pan. I sprayed it down a little bit, and I'm going to start the first layer with a little bit of my vegetable sauce. Clearly, it's not going to be flat, but that's okay because you're going to be layering each thing above it. So once you put that down, then put your lasagna noodles down. If you are not eating wheat, then put some other type of noodle down. There are whole wheat lasagna noodles. You might even be able to find some chickpea ones. It is up to you how you do this. Then we're going to take our ricotta and just wipe it and coat our noodles. These are onion ready noodles, so I don't have to worry about messing around with water and boiling and all that stuff. It will do it in the oven. But if you have cooked your lasagna noodles, you do the same thing. It's just a little more tricky to get your ricotta on your noodle sheet. So we had the first layer was sauce, then the noodles, then the cheese, and now we're back to sauce. Okay? Sauce, noodles, cheese. Sauce, noodles, cheese. You just do those layers until you run out of everything. Okay? The trick sometimes is to make sure that you have enough sauce to get you to the end, because we're not going to end in a whole layer of mozzarella or a whole layer of cheese. I'm doing this completely dairy-free. I'm not even going to be putting in any fake cheeses. This is just all going to be, without any of that, the dairy or fake dairy. So again, we're going to layer another layer. You have your sauce and your noodles. You're going to notice also on the short side of this pan, the noodles don't fit in there. Just break them and stick it in there. When you add all this sauce and goodness and ricotta and all that, no one is going to see that you broke your noodles. But I don't like it to be open on the end because I don't like all my things falling out on the end. So I do try to fill in all sides, all the way to the edges. Your ricotta is going to get you, 1 block of ricotta cheese will get you through this pan, and this is a 9 by 13 pan, and it'll take us right up to the very top of the pan. I believe I got about 4 layers of goodness in this ricotta, 4 layers of goodness in this lasagna. So like I said, you just want to make sure you get all the way down, have enough to get you to that top layer. If you're using cheese, you could have been doing cheese in between each of these layers. I never really was a big cheesy kind of person, in my lasagna, but certainly you can do it the way you need to do it. But I think this is layer 4. I believe it's layer 4. And again, this is a 9 by 13 pan. So you can get pretty much food in that size glass pan. While you are getting your lasagna ready, you should have your oven preheating on 400 degrees, and that will make sure your noodles get cooked down because they're going to have saucy goodness on the top and the bottom of them. So you can see I'm just about out of sauce. I am scraping the bottom of this bowl or the bottom of my pan. I try to make sure that I get all the way to the end, but sometimes you kind of run out. So I just put this on as thin of a layer as I could. I got out all the sauce I could, and then I opened up a jar of sauce. Okay, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And so I just opened that up and poured it on. I know it's not cooked with all the veggies, but that's okay. It's on the very top, and I want to make sure that my noodles are cooked, and the noodles need liquid in order to cook. So just put, a whole jar on there if you'd like. I think I probably got 3/4 of this jar on there. I should have just put all the rest of it on there, because now I got a quarter of a jar sitting in my refrigerator. But just put it on there, and then the best thing I can say for this is sometimes you can just pop it in the oven, but I like to cover it in foil for about 40 minutes and then take the foil off for the last 10 minutes. Let that cook, and then boom. Okay, this is so delicious. Again, if you'd had your white cheese on the top, it would look very different. This is 4 layers of deliciousness. Okay, I'm trying to tell you. Once you bring that out, I top it off with some nutritional yeast, and I think it is absolutely delicious. So you enjoy this meal. This is full of vegetables. Have some carbs in there from your noodles. If you don't want noodles, then put a layer of zucchini. Either way, you're gonna love it. Stay blessed.